Boom, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Odin Chronicles. I thought I'd mix it up today and talk about some things I could do outside coding. So I'm not in front of my computer. I'm a big jiu-jitsu fan, a big martial arts fan, and a big UFC fan as well. Always tuning into the fights every weekend. And I can appreciate really all other sports as well. A big football fan and baseball fan as well. And just appreciate the strategy and the technique behind it. If I had to pick one sport, though, jiu-jitsu would be my favorite. Three reasons being why it's my favorite activity, favorite form of exercise. One, I mean, it's a great form of stress relief. I always feel so much better after a jiu-jitsu class and getting live rounds in, kind of getting all that tension, all that anxiety out, and really just sweating it out and having fun with your friends on the mat. So I mentioned it's also great exercise as well, perfect blend between strength and cardio, working your hips, your core, your legs, your back. I mean, it's full body really, but you really definitely feel in the core, the legs, and also your forearms as well with all the gripping. So that's a couple reasons why I like that there. Another reason is the problem solving aspect of it. So it's a very complex sport, a lot of different techniques and positions you need to be aware of. And when you're doing your live rounds, you need to be able to anticipate your opponent's moving and adapt accordingly. So, and with all these techniques, it's difficult to implement them against a fully resisting opponent when you're doing live sparring. So you have to be creative and think outside the box of how you're going to submit your opponent and how you're going to gain advantageous positions. So that's the problem solving aspect of it that I like, which can absolutely help you become a better programmer as well, because that's what we're doing. We're solving problems and breaking things down and trying to simplify our problem to make sure we can effectively solve it. And the last reason I like it is the community and networking. So met a lot of cool people over the years on the jiu-jitsu mats, and it's really how I got into coding. Was that I met a couple other developers who I shared the mats with and got to train with. Sorry, and getting to talk to them really sparked my interest in coding, and heard about the Odin Project and started and just never looked back. So you never know who you're going to run into on the jiu-jitsu mats. You get meet people from all backgrounds and all walks of life, and you just meet some pretty cool people. So you never know the kind of friends and connections you can make on there. So those are three reasons why I like jiu-jitsu. A couple other things I like to do. I love to play chess as well. I'm still definitely not a good player. I'm very, very beginner, very green for sure. But I've been playing each day pretty consistently for the past 2-3 months, I would say. Another big interest of mine, I love to play billiards and pool as well. That I probably usually do play a game every day, either with family or with some friends. It's just a really fun activity that I enjoy. Really fun activity to enjoy. And kind of helping with the problem solving, calculating like the spin of the ball, all the different angles, and calculating your shots, which I can really think can help you become a better programmer. Just helping those problem solving and critical thinking skills. So last, just wrap up the video, what I've been working on with Battleship. So Battleship, it's getting there. The last video I made was all about placing the player ships on the board. So, you're playing against the computer. The user or the player will be able to place their own ships on the board. Computer, it's going to be randomly generated. So this function here, we're first going to start by initializing an array with the different ship objects: battleship, destroyer, patrol boat, carry boat, and submarine. And so we have our function here. We set a default parameter. It's capturing that current computer ship, which is the first index in the array. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, I have a little cough going on. Apologize. And then we have our base case here. If the ship length is equal to 0, meaning all the ships have successfully been placed, return and stop the function. Don't worry about this here. Next, I'm going to be worrying about selecting a random ship direction. Right now, I'm just kind of hard coding them to be like all either vertical or horizontal to make them easier to see on the board. But next, I'm working on having them randomly be placed, choosing a random direction. So that's coming next. We have our fail coordinates array. So if there's any coordinates that are in that array, we want to make sure we're not using or reusing invalid coordinates again. And I'll explain that a little more down here as I kind of get to that. We're just kind of generate some random coordinates next for x and y using math.floor, math.random. We're checking if the ship placement is valid. So whenever we call place ship, there's a little conditional check in there to make sure it's a valid placement. And so we'll be checking that conditional down here. But first, we're checking if the fail coordinates, that array we initialized up here, if it already includes that random coordinate for x and y. Okay, if it does, let's call the function again to regenerate some new coordinates. And then right here, that is valid ship placement variable? If that's true, hey, go ahead and place the ship. It's legal to place it. It's not running off the board. It's not colliding with other ships. So go ahead and place it, and then we're using the splice method to remove that current ship from the array, so we don't make sure we don't use it again and it doesn't get placed twice. Then we call the function again to keep the cycle and process going, making sure all ships have been placed. And then last but not least, if that ship placement is false, it's not valid, hey, let's keep track of those missed coordinates, those invalid coordinates, and let's call the function again just to keep that cycle going and to make sure all ships get placed. And then we're console logging the updated board there and kind of show you what we get back here. So boom, just refresh this. Okay, we go to our console, and then we see our array down here. As you can see, the different ships there. We have ship with a length of 2, that's your patrol boat. We have a carrier with a length of 5, destroyer with a 4, submarine with a length of 3, and battleship with a length of 4. So that's the updated board there. That's what I've been working on. Have the computer randomly place ships. The next video, or probably the next update, I'll hopefully get this done here, randomly choosing between different ship directions here instead of hard coding. That's pretty much it, guys. Those are some things I like to do outside coding. Big jiu-jitsu fan, big martial arts fan. Hey, if you're a fellow practitioner as well or a big fan, feel free to drop a comment. Some of your favorite fighters or some of your or where you train, what you're into, and things like that. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much, and boom. Until next time, guys. Peace.